Welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
The Knicks, the Pacers, and the Garden. Ingredients for playoff drama. In 1994, Reggie Miller stared down the Knicks and drove a spike through their hearts with 25 fourth-quarter points. But 4 days later, the Knicks and the city of New York would end a 21-year drought and reach the NBA Finals. A year later, it's not over until Reggie says it's over. Miller's 8 points in a 9-second span stunned the Knicks. New York would lose 3 of the first 4 games in that series, but they'd rally to force a 7th. It wouldn't be decided until the final play. Patrick Ewing with a chance to tie. The Knicks, the Pacers, Madison Square Garden. And to top it off, today with his team down 0-2, Patrick Ewing makes his return to the Garden floor. Game 3, next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1998 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks.
Down 0-2, the Knicks at least return home. Game 3 today, Game 4 and a quick turnaround tomorrow. And for the first time since shortly before Christmas, Patrick Ewing will play before the home fans. There were some high points and also some disappointments in his return. Played at Market Square Arena in Game 2 of this series, a loss to the Pacers. But as the Knicks enter this third game, and as we greet you along with Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas, they have concerns, Doug, besides their center.
Bob, the first thing they must do is address the rebounding. New York shot only 40% in Game 2. They missed 43 shots, but only got 4 offensive rebounds. They must be more aggressive on the offensive board, get second shots, get some easy opportunities. Then the play of their point guards has really come under fire. Charlie Ward and Chris Childs. You see in the first 2 games, Chris Childs, minus 17-point differential in Game 1, minus 9 in Game 2. Now, what does Charlie Ward bring? He brings a better passer. He brings a better penetrator. He finds the open man. You see right here, he finds Larry Johnson on the little give and go. Then he finds the penetration and the open layup here for Charles Oakley. I think they need a huge game from Charlie Ward today. Critical turnovers in the fourth quarter spelled New York's doom in Game 2.
Now, as for the Pacers, Reggie Miller really hasn't busted loose yet in the playoffs. If he's going to do it, this would be a likely stage. He's had so many memorable games at Madison Square Garden.
Bob, Reggie Miller has been constant and consistent. Playing extremely well right now, playing within himself. His minutes are up in the playoffs. However, the thing that Larry Bird stressed during the course of the regular season is his bench. His bench right now is outscoring New York. They're out-rebounding New York, and they're shooting better from the field. And the biggest problem for the New York Knicks is guarding Jalen Rose coming off the bench. He will post a smaller guard, and when he's guarded by a bigger player, he will penetrate, get into the lane, and dish off. Bob?
Not too many concerns, it seems, for the Pacers up 2-0, but here is one. Derek McKee, whose defense on Allen Houston was key in the first couple of games at Indiana, is limping a little bit. He's got a quadriceps problem, right leg. We don't know how much he can give Larry Bird today. Ahmad Rashad, the starting lineups and the opening tip from Madison Square Garden. Game 3 just around the corner when we come back.
To Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Today's Eastern Conference semifinal game features the Indiana Pacers and your New York Knicks. The head coach of the Pacers is Larry Bird. Now for the Pacers starting lineup. At guard at 6'3" from St. John's, number 13, Mark Jackson. At guard, at 6'7" from UCLA, number 31, Reggie Miller. At forward, at 6'7" from St. John's, number 17, Chris Mullen. At forward, at 6'11" from Clemson, number 32, Dale Davis. And at center, at 7'4" from Marist, number 45, Rick Smith. For your New York Knicks, the head coach is Jeff Van Gundy.
Give me the Garden.
And now, please welcome your New York Knicks. From Tennessee, number 20, Allen Houston. At guard, at 6'2", from Florida State, number 21, Charlie Ward. At forward, at 6'7", from UNLV, number 2, co-captain Larry Johnson. At forward, at 6'9", from Virginia Union, number 34, co-captain Carl Stokely. Center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, co-captain Patrick Ewing.
A look at what the fans here at the Garden are seeing up on the Jumbotron, a piece of video produced by Madison Square Garden trying to get them further amped for today's Game 3. And if that isn't enough, Ahmad Rashad is in the house.
All right, thanks, Bob. The New York Knicks have more heart than any team in the NBA, but they've had to prove it more times than any team. That's why they're playing here today. Now, today's game is not about heart as much as it is about the condition of Patrick Ewing. I talked to Patrick before the game. He said he feels fine. This is the first time in a long time he's been able to play in May without sore knees. In terms of his wrist, he said his wrist feels great. He's a little disappointed he missed a lot of easy shots. I asked him what his role today would be. He said his role would be one that he would just try to help out wherever he could. He said their horse is Allen Houston, and that's who they're going to ride. Now, in terms of Indiana, Eric McKee has a strained right quad tendon, and I talked to him before the game. He will attempt to play, Bob.
All right, Ahmad, the officials are Hugh Hollins, Bill Oakes, and Tommy Nunez. Dale Davis jumps center with Ewing, and Ward chases it down. The Knicks have lost 4 of 5 this year to the Pacers. Beaten 2 of 3 in the regular season, and of course the first 2 in this series. Ewing, first shot, short. He missed his first 5 in Game 2 and shot 3 of 11 overall. And shot 3 of 11 overall. Mullen and Jackson. Ward on him. Jackson left alone for three. Rebound Oakley.
See, I think this is where New York has to really be dangerous, that they must go in transition and get easy baskets.
Larry Johnson backing into the lane. Fade away over Davis. And Smits is there to take it. Three of the starters for the Pacers have a New York connection. Mullen and Jackson, of course, from St. John's. Smits from Marist College, and it's Mullen who has the first basket of the game.
That's a very tough cover for Larry Johnson because Chris Mullen will keep him moving. Larry Johnson wants to put his body on you and muscle you.
Houston spinning on Miller. Overshot it. Rebound Dale Davis. Mullen pulls up for three. He had the second best percentage in the league behind the Sonics' Dale Ellis in that regard, but missed that one. Patrick has room, and he has his first basket.
That's the kind of shot that Patrick Ewing is going to have to take. He's got to keep it simple. The first shot he took, he forced. That one was a great shot in their open floor game.
And the secondary break, Doug, they got to be able to score in transition because Indiana is such a good half-court defensive team.
Dale Davis gives the Pacers the lead. Houston missing in a crowd. Follow shot Oakley and a whistle.
Now in transition, Patrick will run the floor, and that's where he's capable of knocking down that shot. That's an easy shot for him to make, but it's very difficult for him to score underneath being guarded by Smith.
Here's the head-to-head in game two. Obviously Ewing playing under some duress. His first real competition since late December. Oakley at the line for two. And we check again with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Alan Houston, who I spoke to just before the game, was saying the same things that you were just saying, Isaiah, about getting easy shots in transition. He said he doesn't feel like he has to be that much more assertive, but they have to get more points, easy points. They got to get 10 or 12 fast breaks and be able to score some easy points that way. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. Oakley in his 127th career playoff game. Only John Stockton among active players has appeared in more postseason games without winning a title than Oakley. It's been a long pursuit of a ring for Charles.
It's been a long pursuit for both these teams. When you look out there on the floor, you see some tough seasoned veterans. You don't see any fresh young faces walking around out there.
Miller with a two-point bucket. Just inside the line, and the Pacers have the 6-4 lead. Charlie Ward misses the open three. Jackson to Mullen. Broken up by Oakley. We've played 3 minutes. Indiana leads at 6-4. Mullen for three. This one he connects on.
Again, it's going to be very difficult for Larry Johnson. See if Larry Johnson tries to go back and post up. So they have Chris Mullen playing against Charles Oakley, knowing he will not post. So what Oakley has to do, he has to get on the offensive backboard.
Ewing into the lane. Rattles out. Johnson trying to follow, but stripped of the ball by Mullen. Ewing's 1 for 3. Jackson with his post up and a spin, but it comes up short. The Knicks have hit just 1 of their first 7 field goal attempts. Patrick. He's 1 for 4 now, and Davis has another rebound. Miller. Smith from Mullen over Ewing. got it.
The thing that I noticed right away with Patrick is that he's having a tough time getting his legs up underneath him. His shots are right there, but he's not getting enough lift on his legs.
And has Allen Houston been involved yet? Not really. We'll talk about it when we come back. Pacers off to the quick start.
Now we'll watch Reggie Miller under the basket. He moves so well without the basketball. Now watch the little bump. He just needs a second to get his shot off. Allen Houston is late chasing on the screen. He gets bumped. Reggie Miller has had some really big games here in Madison Square Garden, and he loves the challenge of facing Allen Houston.
Each team has had 8 field goal attempts. The Pacers have made 5 of them. The Knicks just 1. And after the timeout, Ward is bumped by Smith out on the perimeter.
Bob, along those lines, too, I think New York's poor shooting has sort of diffused this crowd a little bit. They've wanted to be electric and in the game, but the 1 for 8, they've sort of set this crowd back a little bit. They have got to be more efficient on offense. Playing hard is not good enough. You've got to be efficient.
And talking to Chris Mullin before the game, Doug, he said that he thought this would be very similar to their return back to the Boston Garden when Larry Bird returned with the Celtics.
Johnson's 3 was short. Mullen back the other way. Miller, baseline leaner, hits it around Houston. (13-4) Indiana. Trying to put a hammerlock on this Eastern Conference semifinal. Houston's pass finds Ewing. Mullen back the other way. And it spills out for him. Johnson chases it down. Ewing in the lane. The finger roll won't drop. Mullen gets back. Ward cuts him off. Mullen scores.
The cross matches have really hurt New York. They're having a very difficult time matching up in transition. Oakley has got to get back to Mullen because Larry Johnson cannot get back soon enough. He's being played by Dale Davis.
Mullen has 7. More than the Knicks as a team. New York trails at 15-6. An illegal defense is called on the Pacers.
Allen Houston was very fortunate here. He left his feet, got hung in the air. At the last moment, he found Patrick Ewing, and those are the kind of baskets that Patrick has to give his team. Just a simple play, not to try to force anything. Let the game come to him a little bit. Continue to get his timing back.
So the thing that I noticed right away is that New York is scoring off broken plays. Indiana is so good defensively in the half court. They're taking away the first, second, and third option and forcing New York to have to use dribble penetration to try to beat the man off the dribble.
Houston's jumper is short off a pass from Starks. Starks having just entered the game. He scored 20 in game 2 and hit 4 3-pointers.
I think you see Jeff Van Gundy already did not like the looks of his big lineup. He's gone small to match up to Indiana.
But this is what they were very effective with in the Miami series. And Reggie Miller has it stuck on automatic right now.
They've tripled the Knicks total at 18-6 after the Miller 3. Starks tries to answer, but can't. Jackson pushes it up the floor the other way. Smith. Saved in, but Indiana has it. Smith's again. Same result. The pull-up is off.
You know, that's a bad shot right there by Starks. He has to control the emotion. When I talked to Jeff Van Gundy before the game, he says, Doug, we want to run, but we were 9 for 25 in game 2 with 7 turnovers. We have to run effectively.
Reggie Miller has it stuck on automatic right now.
They've tripled the Knicks total at 18-6 after the Miller 3. Starks tries to answer, but can't. Jackson pushes it up the floor the other way. Smith. Saved in, but Indiana has it. Smits again. Same result. The pull-up is off.
You know, that's a bad shot right there by Starks. He has to control the emotion. When I talked to Jeff Van Gundy before the game, he says, Doug, we want to run, but we were 9 for 25 in game 2 with 7 turnovers. We have to run effectively.
Ward trying to contend with Jackson, who's so tough in that post-up game. Ewing comes over on a double. Smits works his way into the lane. That makes the score 19-6. A moment ago, although they had posted 18-6 as the score after the Miller basket, they changed it from a 3 to a 2. So the correct score is now 19-6 and a 20-second timeout asked for by Jeff Van Gundy.
When Reggie Miller comes off that screen roll, Patrick Ewing has got to step out immediately and take him off that shot. You're going to see Patrick just a step slow getting out there. Reggie too quick of a release, and he knocks the shot down. Now what happens is Mark Jackson gets deep penetration. Patrick has to help. Rick Smith sees that, goes to the open area, and gets the soft touch and the ball to drop for him.
Miller and Smits, their two biggest scorers statistically during the season, although they really spread it around on this team. Conventional wisdom is you shorten your bench during the playoffs, but not Larry Bird. He has 9 different guys averaging 18 minutes or more in the postseason. Starks firing after the timeout, and his 3 brings the Knicks to within 10. Jackson again bumping with Ward. He'll do it himself, and Ewing comes over to the block, and then Smits is fouled after he picks up the loose ball.
This is why Jeff Van Gundy does not like to use Charlie Ward against Mark Jackson. Look how deep he gets on the floor. Now, Patrick gives good help, and he gets the block, but nobody blocks out Rick Smith. That's now a layup that he's gotten on a second shot and 2 free throws. New York must come up with those loose balls. Right now, Indiana a step quicker.
And it's really not the points Jackson scores off the post-up, although he will get a few. It's the passes he makes once he backs you down so deep. He already has 5 assists in this game.
Bob, I always felt that Mark Jackson was a guy who really wanted to pass out of the double team, not really score. The problem is he had one huge game in here where he had 28 points, and he's made New York very fearful of his post-up game.
You're absolutely right, Doug. Mark Jackson, during the course of the regular season, averaged 18 and 8 against the New York Knicks, and they've been successful in taking him out of this series. He's only averaging 2 points and 5 assists per game, but the assists are the things that really hurt you.
Indiana leads it 20-9, and Miller fouls Houston.
I think Allen Houston has to be very aggressive when he catches the basketball and try to put it on the floor and create some contact and get Reggie Miller in some type of foul trouble. Right now, Reggie is in his comfort zone shooting. Allen has to go at him and make him play a little bit defense.
Houston on the move, forces it, short. Loose ball scooped up by Ward, who misses on the run. Ewing, a 3rd try. 6 for Patrick. Antonio Davis in the lineup now for the Pacers. That's Antonio with the ball. Mullen for 3. Up and over the glass, Nick Ball.
When you don't shoot the ball well, you've got to give yourself more shots at the basket, Bob. That's one of the things we talked about in our opening. 4 offensive rebounds total in game 2. They already have 4 in the first quarter.
But they trail by 9. Starks tries to cut into it, but can't. He ended the year, the regular year, in a horrendous shooting slump, but Starks has had several big games in the playoffs, finding his shooting touch at just the right time. Walking violation. The Pacers give it up. 2:46 to play in the first. Indiana leads it 20-11.
Shot. This also, too, was a tough shot. When he's been successful, it's moving without the ball. He gets a layup. He got a shot in transition, and then hard on the offensive glass, he gets a putback. These are the kind of plays that Patrick Ewing must make today if his team is to be successful.
And let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, Bob, all the hype here in the building about Patrick Ewing coming back, the emotional video before the game, the crowd going wild, has had no effect at all on the Indiana Pacers. They're very matter-of-fact, very businesslike in all their timeouts, and just trying to put this team away. Bob?
Allen Houston with his first field goal. It comes 9.5 minutes into the game.
We're going to see more of that today, where Allen catches the ball at the top of the floor and has both sides that he can operate with. Did not do that much in the first two.
Oakley stole it, but as he stumbled, he traveled. Jalen Rose, who has been so valuable off Larry Bird's bench, 18 points on 6 of 8 shooting in the Game 1 victory at Market Square Arena, throws it into Mark Jackson. Miller, a 3. It's there. Miller with 9 first quarter points.
Reggie's the master of the half inch. That's all he needs to get his shot off.
Houston dishes it off to Starks. Starks misses the 3, but the rebound taken by Cummings. Starks loses his footing, finds Houston. Cummings double teamed, and a 3-second violation on the Knicks.
Isaiah, you really see the size and the muscle of Indiana. It's so difficult for New York to get any post-ups. Terry Cummings is very strong, and Antonio Davis and Dale Davis just pushing them out of the paint.
Terry Cummings and Charles Oakley must set better screens to free up Starks in Houston.
Antonio Davis hammered by Oakley, who arrived late. That's 2 on Oak. Can't get to the game, we ask? Well, follow all the playoff action on NBA.com. Step inside the NBA.com arena for real-time box scores, live shot charts, same-night video highlights, live audio from every game. www.nba.com, your online resource for the NBA playoffs.
Bob, in Game 2, Indiana got only 5 offensive rebounds. We talk about New York getting only 4, but the biggest play of the game, 28 seconds to go, down 2. Antonio Davis outfights Charles Oakley for the rebound, gets fouled, makes 2 free throws, puts him up 4. That closes New York out. So he made the 2 critical plays needed for Indiana to win Game 2.
Makes 1 of 2 here.
Watch out, watch out.
Quick catch and shoot. Allen Houston connects.
Terry Cummings set the screen that time. Jalen Rose tried to slip inside. Cummings bumped him, which freed up Houston for the open shot. They must screen better to free up their shooters.
Jalen Rose and a whistle and illegal defense this time against the Knicks. Travis Best, who wears number 4, is on the floor now for the Pacers. Mark Jackson getting a brief rest. Best playing the point. Ward on him. Miller lets it go and misses it. Mark Jackson getting a brief rest. Best playing the point. Ward on him. Miller lets it go and misses it. One of the all-time classic catch-and-shoot guys, Reggie Miller. Ward to the baseline. Cummings is open. And the veteran misfires. When the ball is in Reggie Miller's hands, very often before a shot, he has it about as long as a good second baseman on a double play pivot. Boom, it's gone.
You have to stay close to Reggie Miller. That time, John Starks did a really good job in forcing him off the screen and chasing him down and making him take a tough fall-away shot.
Jalen Rose hits a tough shot of his own.
That's the matchup that Don Chaney told me that they were very concerned about. They couldn't match up with Jalen because he can take you inside, he can take you outside, and they're having problems with him now.
A steal with 5 seconds on the clock. Pacers will get off the final shot, but Starks breaks it up before Miller can latch onto it. So the Pacers settle for an 11-point lead at the quarter. Indiana 26, New York 15, and you're watching the NBA on NBC. Here at the Garden, maybe more than the usual quota of notables. Billy Crystal, who did such a wonderful job as always at the Academy Awards, maybe the greatest hockey player of all time, the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Matthew Modine is here. Frequently see him at Madison Square Garden. And Woody Allen, who doesn't miss a regular season game against the Grizzlies, certainly isn't going to miss a playoff game against the Pacers. And Spike is here, spiking the story that he was the guy who sent 4 black roses to Reggie Miller before the game. The card was signed Spike Lee, but Spike says, no, it was a hoax. I didn't have anything to do with it. Chris Childs in the game for the first time as we start the second period. Rose to the foul line for the jumper, and the high arcer doesn't get the roll. Back comes New York. Chris Childs, fade away off the glass, no. The patience of the Garden fans when it comes to Chris Childs has been worn thin. He had some crucial turnovers down the stretch in the fourth quarter of Game 2 and generally has not played well of late. Baseline jumper, Antonio Davis across the rim, no good, taken by Starks. Larry Johnson turns, fires, a whistle from Hugh Hollins. An illegal defense against Indiana, and that will be their second.
Isaiah, with Patrick Ewing out of the game right now, Larry Johnson is their low post player. He must establish himself, either create a double team, get in there, get a foul, shoot the basketball. He had about an 8-footer there that he did not want to pull the trigger on. They are not going to win this game if they stay out on the perimeter.
I think he was hesitant to pull the trigger because he hadn't touched the ball in so long.
Derek McKee's going to give it a try. And immediately they put him on Allen Houston. Off the inbound, Johnson is fouled. Could have been McKee. He and Dale Davis were both there. And it was McKee on the reach-in. The technical foul was taken by Houston because, of course, it was the second illegal defense call against the Pacers, and that results in a technical foul. This is just the first of 2 today on NBC. Coming up, the Jazz and the Spurs. Utah's ahead 2-0, but they had to go right to the last play each time at home to get that advantage on David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and company. Won it by a point in Game 1 and by 3 points in overtime in Game 2, so it's shaping up as a good series.
And had the last shot to win both games in regulation, so Tim Duncan has established himself in these playoffs as being a guy who you're going to talk about maybe an MVP in the next couple of seasons.
Johnson makes them both. Knicks within 8. But Antonio Davis is coming to the foul line.
New York just does not have an answer for the quickness of Travis Best. He's created all kinds of opportunities by being able to come off that high screen. He's hit the open shot, but he's found the open man. That time, Antonio Davis gets to the free throw line after the foul.
And can't hit the first one.
You see the free throw differential, plus 17 in Game 1, plus 9 in Game 2. I talked to Jeff Van Gundy about all the fouls. He said, Doug, my concern is we're committing foolish fouls early in quarters to put them in the penalty too quickly. We have to be smarter with our fouls.
Antonio Davis comes up empty. New York trying to cut into an 8-point deficit. Houston misses it. Cummings, though, gives them a fresh 24, and then he's fouled by McKee. That's 2 on Derek. Starks around a Johnson screen. Larry gets it back and puts it down.
That's what they got to do. They've got to go inside to Larry Johnson.
See, I think at the start of the game, as opposed to featuring Patrick Ewing, they should have tried to establish Larry Johnson in the low post to get him more involved in the game, because he'll get you to the free throw line.
Dale Davis can't connect. Out of bounds to the Pacers with 9:52 to play in the first half, and Indiana's lead trimmed to 6.
New York looking to get Larry Johnson involved. They do with a high screen roll. This man's got to show. Starks comes off. This guy too slow rotating, and Larry Johnson with a nice pass from Starks gets the ball inside and delivers with the finish off the glass. So Larry Johnson exerting himself here in the second quarter as New York has trimmed 5 points off the 11-point lead that the Pacers had at the end of the first quarter.
Johnson has had some good games this year against the Pacers, including Game 2 of this series. After the timeout, it's Smits with the ball off the inbound.
Let's see how long now New York will be able to stay with this lineup. Terry Cummings on Rick Smith. Look for Indiana to go immediately to him in the post.
Rose shoots off balance and misses badly. Starks comes sprinting out of the pack. Accelerates on Rose. Throws it up on the run and hits it.
Jalen Rose had to honor the three-point look by John Starks. Starks pulled up at the 3, faked it, and drove right by him and was able to get to the baseline for the easy floater.
It's a 4-point game. And the Pacers throw it away. They were trying to get it to Smits in a post-up situation, but the pass was wide.
Terrible angle on that pass, Bob. You got to swing the ball to the wing and let him make the entry pass. No way that Antonio Davis can make that pass from that angle.
Childs around Best to the hole, lays it in. Suddenly the Pacers up by only 2. Best in trouble, gets rid of it to McKee. 5 seconds to shoot. Starts on Rose. Beats the buzzer. He was fouled and the basket falls. Oh, man, that's a tough pill to swallow for New York. They almost had them to the 24-second violation. Rose hits a nearly impossible shot and draws the foul, which not only means potentially 3 points, but it slows New York's building momentum. Rose ends a 9-0 New York run with the 3-point play.
And talking to Larry Bird, every time he talks about Jalen Rose, he smiles. He loves how competitive he is.
Starks got rid of it to Johnson. Great.
Has not had the answer for Jalen Rose.
Larry Bird's bench, one of the deepest and most effective in the league. It's been that way all year long.
Doug, they've been successful in taking Jackson out of this series, but another problem popped up in Jalen Rose.
Johnson finds Cummings.
See, I think what Van Gundy has done in playing Terry Cummings as opposed to Chris Dudley has given them more offensive looks.
Smits doubled. Hold on, says Bill Oakes. New York in an impressive stretch here with Ewing on the bench, and that is meant in no way to disparage Patrick. His persistence in trying to come back is something everyone has to admire, and he has something to contribute here. but they have gone on a run with him as a spectator.
I think it's very hard for Larry Johnson and Patrick to play together. They both demand that low block.
Trying to recover an errant pass. Rose travels. Something else worth noting, while the Knicks have made the run with Ewing sitting, Indiana has stalled a little bit with Mark Jackson sitting and not running their offense. Here is Childs slithering through, and Chris Childs winning back some of the affection of the Garden crowd in the last several minutes.
Well, that's the one thing about playing in New York. If you score a couple of buckets, they love you. But if you come out and you're not playing well, they hate you.
Tough crowd. Travis Best dishes it out to McKee. Now it's Rose for three. Spins out for him. New York with a chance to take the lead. They have never been in front. Cummings. Over Smits. Air ball. Out of bounds to the Pacers. And the miss by Cummings stops a string of 6 consecutive successful field goal attempts by New York. Suddenly a one-point game. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Larry Bird's favorite bench player has been doing it all. Now, Jalen is a scorer. He takes Allen Houston into the lane and then shifts him on the elbow as he goes up for the three-pointer. Watch as he curls, and he uses his right hand. Now, he's not good at coming off screen shooting, but Jalen can score in a variety of ways.
Which he did in game 1, hitting 6 of 8. Not so effective. The next time, 2 of 6 in game 2. Here he scored the last 7 Indiana points dating back to late in the first quarter. Patrick Ewing back in. A steal by New York.
Also, Mark Jackson back into the game. Larry Bird did not like what he saw with Travis Best. They were minus 10 with that matchup on the floor. Childs, Travis Best.
Patrick puts up a shot right away. It's blocked. Patrick takes a spill, and there's an Indiana foul.
Now, Patrick knows that he's struggling shooting, so he's trying to get to the basket and draw contact, trying to do anything he can to get to the foul line so he can get some rhythm and try to get himself offensively involved in this game.
Second foul on Smits. First free throw. Can't tie it. Derek McKee, definitely not at full strength, goes out. Chris Mullen back in.
See, I thought when McKee was in the game, Mills let him off the hook. McKee was out there injured, and Mills never challenged him once.
The Knicks pull even. Childs on Jackson. Van Gundy likes Childs' defense on Jackson better than that of Ward. Mark trying to back him down. Finds Smits. Into the lane goes Smits. A whistle before the shot. Foul on Ewing.
When you play Rick Smits, you have to be so concerned about his open shooting that when he catches that ball in that little medium post, you've got to close out on him. Patrick did, but he closed out on his left hand. You've got to close out on his right hand, so when he puts it down on the floor, you'll be waiting for him.
Jackson lost it. The Knicks have it. Starks sprinting ahead. Pass too long. He's able to save it. Fires out of the corner. And a rebounding foul on Chris Mills.
You saw a little bit of the frustration of Jeff Van Gundy there. A better pass by Chris Mills, and Starks has a layup. He led him too quickly, and then John Starks was so eager, he caught the ball, circled out, and took what I thought was a bad shot in those circumstances. That's where you got to pull the ball back and execute.
So New York was unable to take the lead, but they have erased a 13-point Indiana advantage. The Pacers once led 19-6. We're now even up at 31. Tomorrow, an NBC world premiere movie event based on the true story of the man who brought down mob boss John Gotti. Witness to the Mob begins at 9, 8 Central tomorrow on NBC. Dale Davis, a notoriously poor free throw shooter, clangs the first one.
See, with a guy like John Starks, you never want to discourage him, but you've got to channel him, and that's very tough because Starks is always on the edge.
Davis misses them both. The Pacers are 3 of 9 at the free throw line in this first half. Mills got it. And on the 3, New York has its first lead.
New York is going to need Mills outside shooting. He's going to have to step up and be the third scorer on this team today.
Remember now, game 1, Indiana starters got off to a horrible start. They were down 19 in the first quarter. The bench came in and rescued them. Today, it's been the reverse of that. The New York starters got off to a bad start, and New York's bench has come in and come to the rescue.
On the heels of the 3, Mills commits a foul, his second.
Very important here to watch now. At the 5:27 mark of the second quarter, Indiana started shooting free throws. They shoot free throws the rest of this quarter. Let's see if they can take advantage of that. That's been a real key in the first 2 wins of this series.
Reggie, an 87% free throw shooter, cans them both. Here's Childs, head of the key. And Chris Childs has brought a different game to the Garden this afternoon. Reggie with Houston up on him. 2 seconds to shoot. Jackson throws up a wild hook, no good.
That was great defense by Allen Houston. He knows that Reggie Miller likes to drive right, and he sent him left.
But the Knicks turn it over as Johnson couldn't latch onto the pass. Had the pass sail over his head and hit the underside of the backboard on the Mullen pass, and New York gets it back. And to sail a pass over Smith's head takes some doing. He's 7'4". Johnson in the paint. Ewing open. Patrick hit it. Smith ran at him, but too late.
Inside, outside. The offense is going inside, outside. That's the shot that Patrick has made a living off. That little baseline jump shot facing up at about 12 feet.
Jackson backs Childs down. And Childs fouled him.
The interior pass to Larry Johnson. Rick Smith helps to kick out to Patrick Ewing the open shot. Just keep it simple.
Patrick Ewing, after hitting the jumper, sharing his delight with Spike Lee.
Doug, I watched Patrick in warm-ups, and that was the shot that he came out, and he took that shot at least 50 times in warm-ups because he knew that's where he would get the ball today.
If he goes inside to Larry Johnson and he spaces the floor and they help in, Larry Johnson can be the guy that creates the opportunities, and Patrick can do what he does best, make that little open shot. That's worked for them in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think they got to play off of Larry Johnson inside ability. I don't think they can go to Patrick into the post. They have to go to Larry Johnson in the post.
Even after the 2 free throws by Jackson, the Pacers have been outscored in this quarter 23-9. Childs into the lane. Johnson has it. And the foul is on Jackson, even though it's Mark who hit the floor first.
Chris Childs must have seen our opening. He saw what he was in the first 2 games. Today he says, I'm going to be plus today. I'm not going to be in that minus. Plus 14 today. He really has done a terrific job in helping get this Knicks team back on track in this second quarter.
You know, Doug, a lot of times you had a tendency to only look at
Houston.
You have a tendency to only look at a player's offensive production, but what Chris Childs has done in shutting down Mark Jackson in this series, that's what Van Gundy loves.
Smith into Davis, but Davis travels. New York with a 5-point lead and the ball.
Houston off the screen. Good screen by Ewing. He comes off Larry Johnson. Miller trailing. Pump fake. Knocks it in. And this is what they have to get from Allen Houston. The open shooting, the aggressiveness. He gives New York a 5-point lead.
Anna, thanks. We'll catch you again at halftime. Meanwhile, Childs walks it up the floor for New York. Around the Ewing screen. Into the lane he goes. Tried to dump it off for Johnson. Ball loose. And Bill Oates whistles play to a stop. A New York foul on Larry Johnson.
See, Chris Childs did everything right there, Isaiah, except make the delivery. He got in the lane, but he tried to make a pass that you reach out your hands and deflect. You got to make a little soft bounce pass where the guy can see it, catch it, and then be able to finish. Doing everything right, his heart in the right place. He's just got to make sure he finishes those plays.
One of the things with Chris Childs that he has to develop in this game is the mid-range. When he came off into the lane, the little 12-foot J was open. You can't take it into trouble into the big man. You got to draw that big man to you and then make the bounce pass or the feed.
Mullen, who led the league by hitting 94% of his free throws, makes them both. And there's a foul away from the ball. Chris Mullen picks it up. That's his first. Both teams over the limit. 2:24 to play until halftime. Larry Bird flanked by his assistants, the veteran Dick Harder, who mostly handles the defense, and the younger Rick Carlisle, who concentrates on their offensive sets. And Bird, in addition to his other qualities, his demeanor and the respect he commands, especially from this veteran team, is the most important thing. But his willingness to delegate authority to capable assistants has really been an important part of a 58-win season for Indiana and possible Coach of the Year honors for Larry.
Well, Bird has brought specialization into the game. You see it in football and baseball where you have a lot of delegation. Bird in basketball is the first to really delegate that responsibility to an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator.
Knicks by 5, and now a steal. Ewing from Childs. Around Smith with the left hand and almost a three-point play. It would have counted had it gone.
You know, Bob, so many people talked about, boy, they should have kept Patrick Ewing out for this game. Brought him back this game for the emotion. You see Patrick here going to the basket in the finish. Isaiah, why I think it was important for him to play in game 2. He needed to get that game underneath his belt. You knew he would be better in the second game. Imagine him coming in here in a must-win situation for New York and being rusty and maybe costing them a game at home. I think it was smart that they played him on the road.
Doug, if he doesn't play in game 2 in Indiana, they lose that game by about 15 to 20 points. They come in here and they don't have the type of confidence that they're exhibiting right now. But the thing that I like what Patrick is doing right now, he's not settling for that shot. He's taking it to the basket and is creating contact, which consequently has put Smith on the bench right now.
They're close to getting Smith in foul trouble. Larry Bird pulls him here. That was his third. Miller with a good pass, and they work it around to Dale Davis, who got it from Antonio, and Dale Davis was fouled.
See, Reggie Miller had him beat at the start of the play. Reggie Miller lost Allen Houston at the start of the play, which consequently forced a chain reaction for Dale Davis to be open underneath the basket. But it all started with Reggie Miller moving without the ball.
The Pacers go from 2 of the best to 1 of the worst at the line, and Davis tosses up a brick. They had Miller and then Mullen at the free throw line. They rarely miss. Now Davis, who's under 50%.
They shoot 70% from the playoffs from the field, so you know he's shooting high percentage shots. Probably dunks and layups.
The foul line is not a high percentage shot for him. He's 0 for 4 today, and neither of those two was even close. They'll walk back the other way after an offensive foul.
Patrick Ewing trying to set a screen for Allen Houston in the corner. Sometimes the guard goes too quickly. Let's see what happens. Patrick steps out, throws that hip out, and he gets the foul.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact on that play. For him to get a foul such as that, I'm not so sure about that. That's why a lot of players get upset, because you allow the bumping, you allow the shoving, and then a little hip nudge, you call that.
When I was a coach, I used to beg to get that foul in here. Unfortunately, never got it.
Ewing second. He goes out. 1:20 to play in the half. Mullen leaning in, and he's fouled. That's an almost guaranteed deuce. He'll come to the line to shoot 2.
You see what's happened, though, here in the last 5.5 minutes of this quarter. The thing that has kept Indiana in the game has been the free throw line. They have taken advantage. You see no field goals in the last 6:45. Why are they in the game? Because they're getting to the free throw line. Again, the careless fouls by New York has really hurt them. Indiana 10 of 18 at the free throw line. New York 10 of 11. So 7 more attempts now by Indiana, keeping them close to the Knicks right now.
Doug, I think that goes back to Larry Bird's mentality when he was a player with Boston. They believed in getting to the foul line, and they understood, just as the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan do right now, the importance of going to the line and staying in the game.
Knicks by 5. Childs cut off by a double team. Slings it out to Oakley, then gets a return. 3 seconds to shoot. Mills will hit the double pump.
I think he banked that ball off the glass. It was an impossible angle. Chris Mills will take that. He needs it.
Antonio Davis. Miller, catch and shoot. And he's upset. He thinks Houston bumped him, and he may be right. Meanwhile, Houston sprints back and gets the slam on what Reggie thinks is a 5-point turnaround that wasn't justified. If, in fact, he was fouled, he would have had 3 free throws coming, and the transition basket never would have resulted.
But you can't stop playing, Bob. You've got to keep playing.
See, I thought there was great defense by Allen Houston and good recognition to run out when he knew Reggie Miller was fighting and arguing.
Childs falls. Jackson spins to the hoop. 15 seconds now for the Knicks, who lead it by 7.
See, if I'm Allen Houston right now, hold on to the basketball and take the last shot. Try to get some penetration and get a foul.
But he loses it. Mullen now leading Miller, and Mills lets him go. Less than a second, and that's to take a 5-point lead. Back with Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas, I'm Bob Costas, and without further ado, straight to the Miller Lite halftime stats.
Well, Bob, we talk about halftime trends, and you see for Indiana only 2 offensive rebounds. They shot 4 for 11 field goals and had 7 turnovers in the second quarter. And for New York, they made 12 of their last 14 field goals. The bench outscored Indiana 20-8. They did a good job with their early offense, pushing the ball up. And the difference really today was Chris Child was plus 16 when he was on the floor. Charlie Ward was minus 11. He's going to have to come out and give him a good third quarter start.
And when you look at Indiana, their 5 starters have all gotten involved. The thing that has to concern Larry Bird right now is his bench play. Jalen Rose with 7 points is the only one who scored a field goal off the bench. And when you look at the Knicks, surprise, surprise, Patrick Ewing leading them with 11 points, Allen Houston with 9. Chris Mills is the big positive to me because he stepped up and really gave him a good first half. Can he do it again in the second half?
In the course of scoring 11, Ewing hit 4 of 8 from the floor. Third quarter coming up.
Knicks lead the Pacers by 5 during halftime. Jeff Van Gundy very happy with his bench. They had a high intensity. The team that he was upset with, the starters, felt like they came off a lot, very flat and very unhappy with the way the half ended, giving up Indiana those easy baskets. As far as Larry Bird's concerned, he told his team that they were right there, even though they had played the worst quarter of basketball in this entire playoff series. So he feels like they're right in the game. They can make a run at it. Bob?
Ahmad, thanks. Larry Bird, of course, 3 NBA titles with the Celtics, 3 times the league's MVP. Most people thought he'd have a positive effect on the Pacer franchise, but Doug, no one suspected that it would be this kind of impact.
Well, I think when you look at Larry Bird, the one thing he brings, obviously he was a tremendous player, but he brings just a charisma, a presence about him of being a champion. I think that's filtered down to his team.
The Pacers trailing by 5 have it as the second half begins. Mark Jackson's pass is knocked out of bounds and then saved in. Mullen scoops it up, gets it to Miller. His shot on the run is banked home. There was contact made, and even had the shot not fallen, it would have been goaltending. As it is, it went in.
Bob, I think one of the things we have to really watch, this starting team that the New York has in the first quarter was strictly half court, got themselves into real trouble. Can they execute and get some shots early in the clock?
13 points now for Reggie Miller. Charlie Ward finds Oakley, and a 3-second violation on the Knicks.
Bob, early offense in the first half, you see what New York did. In the first 14 seconds of the clock, they shot 14 for 33, 4 for 6 in the last 10, so they did a good job of getting the ball up the floor and not letting Indiana get their half-court defense set up against them.
Smith from Jackson hits it.
See, they're forcing the screen down to the baseline, which is leaving Smith the opportunity to step back and nail the J.
Ewing has it knocked away. Chasing it down is Ward. 5 seconds to shoot. Patrick off the dribble over Smith. Air ball. Grabbed by Davis.
I don't like the possessions. The first 2 possessions have been very poor for New York. If Indiana scores here, look for Jeff Van Gundy maybe to call a timeout.
Jackson with the post up on Ward. Into the lane. Dishing it back outside. Now it's Smith again. The first 6 points of the third quarter belong to Indiana. A 5-point New York lead is quickly erased, and the Pacers are up by 1. Here's how they did it.
See, on the screen and roll, Ward is pushing him down to the baseline. Ewing comes with a double team, which leaves Smith wide open for the day. Larry Johnson is late on the rotation. And now Ewing, being out of his comfort zone, not in the post, in that mid-range area where he has a tough time cocking that wrist back, shoots the air ball because of the pressure by Smith. And now you see the penetration, the kick and dish, and Smith with the easy J. I think what has happened to New York at the start of this game offensively is that they're trying to do a lot of pick and roll with Allen Houston and Charlie Ward. Those guys are very good at taking you off the dribble. They got to create some space and get away from the pick and roll.
Jackson with the steal. Mullen on his left. He dishes to the trailer, Dale Davis, who's walloped by Charles Oakley.
This is a bad unit that Jeff Van Gundy has on the floor right now. Minus 11 in the first quarter. You see they've scored the first 6 now. A strip by Mark Jackson. He throws it ahead to Dale Davis, who gets fouled. But Jeff Van Gundy's going to have to make a decision here. He cannot let this slip away from him early in this third quarter. He might have to go back to his bench. I don't like the 3 big guys together. I don't like Johnson, Oakley, and Ewing together. I think that makes them too stagnant and too slow.
I agree with you. I think with Chris Mills, with the half that he was having, you got to come back to him early in the third quarter because he gives you the outside threat and also the penetration that you need that will free up Larry Johnson and Patrick Ewing in the low post.
Dale Davis finally hit a free throw, then missed the second one. He's 1 of 6. Pacers by 2. Ewing misses it badly, and Mullen has it. The Pacers are actually on an 11-0 run dating back to late in the second quarter. Smith, the hook. 3 white shirts are there, and Ward takes it. The Knicks led 48-39 late in the first half. Now trail 50-48. Mullen knocks it away from Oakley. New York ball out of bounds.
See, with this unit, Charles Oakley is out on the perimeter because Chris Mullen is guarding him. So Charles is not a post-up player. So he's sort of being lost outside. You lose his offensive rebounding. You allow one of the bigger guys one of the Davis boys to play Larry Johnson inside. That's a good matchup for Indiana.
Yeah, nor is it a fast-breaking team. The team that the Knicks have out on the floor cannot score in transition.
2 seconds to shoot, and Johnson has to heave it from the other side of half court, and a 24-second violation. So at the outset of this third quarter, the Knicks are either getting bad looks or no looks at all.
And see, this is where Ewing will be tested, Doug, because when you come back off an injury, it's tough to get your legs up underneath you in the third and fourth quarter. His wrist is feeling fine, but does he have enough energy in his legs to continue to get the lift?
Jackson, you know what he looks to do, and he spins inside for the hoop.
They really don't want to double team because once Patrick Ewing goes down, you have Rick Smith spotted up right at the top for a 15-footer. They did that twice in the first quarter. He burned them for 4 points.
See, Charlie Ward has good foot speed, but he doesn't have enough weight to keep Jackson out of there.
But Ward finally is able to put an end to the Indiana run. More than 3 minutes into the third quarter, those are the first New York points.
Here it is again. He's going to back him down.
And he's going to score again.
There's just too much weight that Mark Jackson has over Charlie Ward. That's why Van Gundy likes playing Chris Childs, because thus far they've been successful in eliminating Jackson in the post.
Ward taking it into the lane, and an Indiana foul.
Mark Jackson gets the ball very deep. That's when Ewing has to give help. But when he gets so deep, there's no way that he can get down there. Charlie Ward flops to try to take the foul. Here he is. If it works once, why not go back to it again? That little teardrop shot off the glass that Mark Jackson has perfected.
Things are going well right now for the Pacers, but that last foul was on Smits, and that's his fourth.
So when you look at the point guard in their matchup right now, you see that they've taken Mark Jackson out of this series, but today he's able to use his weight and back Charlie Ward down and get him to the low post. And Van Gundy's going to have a tough decision to make again at the end of the game. Do you stick with Charlie Ward for offense, Doug, or do you come back with Chris Childs for defense?
Well, it looks like what he's tried to do with Chris Childs is match him up more against Travis Best because he's worried about Best's quickness. But then Charlie Ward has a problem with the size of Mark Jackson. So he might look to even maybe go to a bigger lineup and go maybe Starks and Allen Houston together in the backcourt a little bit.
Pacers lead it by 2. He's got Johnson on Jackson. And there's a foul away from the ball on Ward trying to hold on to Mullen. That's his first.
Jeff Van Gundy talked about this. He said, I might put Larry Johnson on Mark Jackson late in the game. That time you saw him going to post with Larry Johnson.
Dale Davis to the deck.
Hey, Bob, earlier you saw Mark Jackson, after he made his shot, run back down the court and wave at Spike Lee. Now, the reason for this wave, as you'll see Mark here, waving at Spike Lee. During halftime, Spike said he was coming to Indiana for Game 5, and Mark said, you won't have to. We're done with you guys tomorrow.
Dale Davis at the line. Missed the first of 2. He's now 1 of 7.
Now, what you've seen Jeff Van Gundy does, he's gone back to his small lineup. What that means is he's taken Larry Johnson out of the game. He's kept Ewing in. When he takes Ewing out, he'll come back with Larry Johnson. So he'll only have one low post player in and have other shooters out on the floor rather than 2 post guys at the same time.
Ewing with Antonio Davis on him. Patrick, fade away in the lane, doesn't get the bounce. Jackson pushes it up the floor. Dishes out to Mullen for 3. Timeout, New York. The Pacers are up by 6 after trailing by 5 at the half. Even more basketball.
Now, Miller and Houston, not known for their defense, are really guarding each other. Miller's all over Allen Houston, holding, fighting, pushing, chasing him off the screens, and when he gets a little daylight, I'm there. But Allen gives him the pump fake to free up his shot. And on the other end, you have the same game playing catch me if you can. Miller's trying to get away. Allen Houston is chasing him, gets bumped right there off the screen, gets a little daylight. Bam, I'm up with the shot. When you look at Houston and Miller, neither one of them known for their defense. However, they're really guarding each other today and making it difficult and tough.
That's way too hard to get 2 points. Way too hard.
Did Allen ever play that hard defensively for you?
Absolutely.
As we come back, Knicks have a little trouble with the ball. Starks gets the shot off and hits it. And in recognition of Zeke's look inside the game a moment ago, Miller Brewing Company donates $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Jackson into the lane. The floater is way off. They're looking at a 24-second violation. Davis turns and gets the shot off short to beat the clock. Ewing can't quite gather it in.
Now with Indiana down here in the half court, the difference you're going to see now, they lose a shooter when they take Rick Smith out. So Patrick Ewing can be very aggressive helping into the post, both he and Oakley. The Davis boys not known for their perimeter shooting.
Ward and Miller tangle. And the foul is on Ward, his second. This has really been a game of runs. Pacers went up 19-6. Knicks that went on a 42-20 run to briefly claim a 9-point lead. Pacers on a 19-6 run since then, dating back to late in the second quarter.
These are the fouls that drive you crazy as a coach. Reggie Miller steps up to set the screen. Oakley runs over him. That's okay to waste a foul if it's the first foul. That's the fifth. So what you've done is basically take Reggie Miller, put him to the line, and say, we're going to give you 2 points. Remember early we talked about Zeke getting them into the penalty early in the quarter. 6:20, third quarter, shooting free throws the rest of the way.
And Reggie Miller is the absolute best in the league at feeling contact and going with it and making the official call a foul or drawing attention to the contact.
You got to know when to flop. You don't flop on the first, you flop on the fifth. That's when you get to shoot the free throws. You don't waste it when you're not shooting free throws.
Doug, did you use the flop?
Yes, I did, especially if I can get 2 free throws. Yes, sir. I was spoken from experience.
Reggie Miller with 17. Pacers up by 6. Starks out to Johnson, open look, but an air ball. And it's taken by Mullen.
So you may ask, how could Johnson shoot an air ball there, but he hasn't touched the ball in a while.
Reggie Miller misses the floater, but again, he'll stand at the charity stripe. More basketball, we got it. Triple header tomorrow, beginning at noon Eastern with showtime. Then a Mother's Day treat, Game 4 of the Pacers and the Knicks, followed by Game 4 of the Lakers and the Sonics out west. And in the nightcap, Michael and the Bulls with their 2-1 lead over Glenn Rice and the Hornets. It's Game 4 of their series. It all begins at noon Eastern on NBC. Reggie hasn't missed at the line today. Now he's 6 for 6, and he has 19 points. There's Chris Childs, whose minutes have increased in this game, corresponding to his improved play. Houston against Miller. Tough shot. Missed it. Got his own. Follows. That won't drop. And it's Dale Davis who clears the boards. Jackson ahead, but it's picked off by the backpedaling Johnson.
See, when you have Johnson and Patrick Ewing in the game at the same time, the effect that it has on Allen Houston is that there's no dribble lanes, there's no penetration lanes. When he gets to the basket, it's tough for him to really get a shot off because it's so congested inside.
New York puts it in from the side, 9 on the 24. Starks into a crowd, loses it. Jackson holds on and incites the crowd a little bit by doing the shimmy, not after a basket, but simply after retrieving a loose ball. Reggie, short. Out of bounds to the Knicks.
With Chris Childs in the game with John Starks, what you see is Childs plays Reggie Miller. Jeff Van Gundy likes that matchup. Starks then plays against Mark Jackson. That takes away his post-up. With that said, New York has got to find a way here to score some points. They're in a serious drought.
And they trail by 8. Houston, catch and shoot. No. Dale Davis lost it off his leg. Allen Houston has shot just 4 of 12 in this game. Here he is again. Poked away by Miller. Make it 4 of 13. Now it's Houston playing the defense on Jackson. A 3-second violation against the Pacers, and Mark Jackson running the risk of being teed up as he slams the ball to the floor.
We played 8 minutes in this third period, and New York has scored a total of 6 points after a 33-point second quarter. So that third quarter, when they got off to a start with that unit, has just not been able to find anything to work offensively. They scored only 15 in the first quarter.
Ward has 4 of those 6 points. Starks the other 2. Chris Childs to Ewing. Across the basket, no good. Acer ball. In the last few minutes, the Knicks have had some decent looks and just have not been able to convert.
It's something that's plagued the Knicks throughout the years. They go through stretches where they just can't score.
Timeout Pacers. Late in the third quarter, they have owned. Up 62-54. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Doug, you might say it's the Knicks shooters who are in a fog as we can barely see the Empire State Building in this third quarter.
Well, they've missed 10 out of 12 shots, Bob, after going through a 12 for 14 stretch in the second quarter. More importantly, the 2 main guys, Patrick Ewing and Allen Houston, both 0 for 4, so 0 for 8 for their 2 main guns.
Ball back in play. Miller's pass poked away, taken by Starks. Childs with Mullen guarding him. Five seconds to shoot. It's Patrick. Got it!
Tough shot, and a big shot, and a big shot because they really needed it at that time. Van Gundy called the play in the huddle. They came out and they executed it to perfection.
Cutting their deficit to 6. Jackson against Childs with that little hook that's short. Loose ball, clutched by Houston.
Now Jackson has to be careful here that he doesn't take everyone else out of the game trying to look for his own offense.
I think that's a great point, Isaiah. Sometimes you get preoccupied.
Johnson.
See the presence of Patrick Ewing inside, makes the shot, draws the attention of everyone, and now Larry Johnson is free on the other box for an easy layup.
Reggie. Can't answer. Childs has it. They can cut it to 2. But Childs lost it. Jackson to the floor to recover. Starks all over him. And a jump ball.
See, Doug, the problem with that fast break they just had, the reason why Chris Childs turned it over is because Larry Johnson ran in the middle of the floor, which consequently congested everything.
John Starks doing a little counseling to Chris Childs. That's sort of scary within itself there. But
so what he's saying to him is, hey, maintain your concentration, keep cool. But Larry Johnson should have not run in the middle of the floor because that congested everything, which consequently left Childs with no place to go.
Starks with the height advantage. The ball not in the air. They leap anyway. This one's legit, and Ewing has it.
I go right back to Ewing right now.
But a whistle blows before anything can happen. An Indiana foul. It's Derek McKee, and that's his third.
Only the second team foul, so Indiana has done a good job in this quarter of not committing fouls, so New York will have to inbound the ball with a new shot clock.
Starks gets through, and Ewing cleans up the mess.
Whenever New York has played well in this game, it's because of dribble penetration. They've gotten into the lane, forcing help, and then they've gotten second shots. Sometimes the first one won't go. Patrick Ewing with the easy follow-up.
I think Patrick Ewing has finally got his confidence, and he's starting to feel a part of this series. Look for him to really assert himself offensively and defensively right now.
Mullen, tough shot. Got it. Oh, that's huge. In the first two games, the Pacers got very little from Mullen and Mark Jackson and won anyway. Today, Mullen has 16. Jackson has 8 with 7 assists.
The Towns have to be smart enough right now to put the ball in Ewing's hands. There's the swing. Put it into the post.
Patrick on the run. Hits another one.
He's feeling it now. You can tell by his bounce, his rhythm, his momentum has shifted, and he's feeling very confident, and he's being guarded by a smaller McKee, and he feels like he can do anything he wants inside the post.
16 for Ewing in his second game back. Good pass to Miller from Best.
Ewing came over to help and hit his hand on the rim. He hit his left hand.
What they're doing here is they're going screen roll and trying to post the ball on the other side of the floor with Patrick Ewing. This time it's for Larry Johnson.
Inside 30 seconds. It's Johnson, who has to give it up to Starks, who can't nail the three.
Now see, as a point guard, your big fella just scored 2 baskets. It's playing well for you. You got to put it back in his hands. You don't go to Larry Johnson right there.
Best pounds it into the floor. They run the clock down, awaiting the last shot. It's Best to the hoop, and his pass is intercepted. They never get one off. The Knicks, who led by 5 at the half, then fell behind, closed to within 4 after 3. We'll be back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Line score through 3. The last 8 New York points of the third quarter, 6 of them were scored by Ewing, and he got the assist on the other basket. Starks hits the first shot of the fourth.
That was well executed. A double screen with Starks coming off on the weak side, and brutal pick set there by Terry Cummings and Larry Johnson.
Derek McKee left alone from 20. Line drive shot is short, and an Indiana foul off the rebound.
See, you look at Starks right now, who's energized. He comes out at the fourth quarter, makes a shot, and when he gets hot, that energizes his defense, rebounding, and everything else. He's such a guy that when things are going well for him, he can either get really high, but when things aren't going well for him, he has a tendency to get really low.
Here's Cummings. Johnson spinning in the crowd, can't hit. But the loose ball is taken by Mills.
What New York is trying to do now, they did it to the end of the third quarter. They got McKee on Ewing in the post. Now they're trying to get Larry Johnson down in the low block with McKee playing. They think they can overpower him down there, that he's more of a small forward out on the floor.
You got to put the ball back in Stark's hands right now because he's such a streaky shooter, and he can shoot you right into the game. If you're the guard right now, you got to put it back into him and let him see if he can make a shot.
In this case, he passes it off to Cummings, who gets a lucky roll and ties the game.
So you got to keep going to Starks right now because he's drawing so much attention.
A new game and 10:40 to decide it. the drive. Antonio Davis back out to Best, and Travis Best hitting his first field goal, and it comes at a crucial time for Indiana.
Well, Indiana has not got many offensive rebounds today. That was a huge one. That was only their fourth offensive rebound of the game.
And the Knicks give the ball back.
Illegal screen out of bounds, so no foul there. Indiana will just gain possession. You're not allowed to screen a man off the court. You see the left foot of Chris Mills there screening out of bounds. That's a violation.
Best into the front court. Childs blocking it. 6 on the 24. Best trying to split two defenders, and he's fouled. Clock stops with 9:56 to play in the fourth. At the leading scorers, certainly doesn't include Charles Oakley, who's on the bench now with 4 fouls. Here is Travis Best missing the leader, but Antonio Davis with an emphatic follow as the Pacers up their lead to 4.
You know, when Antonio Davis was in high school, he won a dunking contest on a 12-foot rim.
A small field of those able to dunk on a 12-foot rim. Chris Mills missing a 3. And Rose has it. Oakley on the Knicks bench. He's played 18 minutes. Has only 2 points and 3 rebounds. Best. Cummings has board position on McKee.
When will Jeff Van Gundy come back with Patrick Ewing? He's got about a 3-minute rest here in this period with a couple timeouts. He should be well rested, ready to go.
Starks fires and hits.
John Starks reminds me of a guy I played with, World B. Free. Missed 11 in a row and swear he's hot. Can't wait to get the next one.
Yeah, his mentality is such, you got to keep him involved. And back to Patrick Ewing, Doug. See, now when Patrick comes back, you wonder if he's still in his rhythm. He had a nice rhythm going. I think the rhythm is more important than the rest for him.
Offensive foul as Jalen Rose throws the elbow. After the 3 by Starks, the Knicks are within 1, and now they have the ball back.
Do you know how hard this shot is? Watch John Starks. He catches this ball, drives it, pulls back, and shoots it. That is an unbelievably difficult shot.
And Starks has a dozen.
Put it back in his hands and ride.
And Starks has a dozen.
Put it back in his hands and ride him.
They go that high screen and roll.
McKee poking at it, can't get it away from Starks. Mills, cross court to Childs. Chris Childs, whistle before the release. 3-second violation, negating the basket.
Chris Childs has got to jump up and shoot that ball rather than to try to dribble penetrate. He had 2 guys waiting for the offensive rebounds, and he got them a violation because he didn't take the shot that presented itself.
Here is Best. Johnson on McKee. 4 seconds to shoot. McKee with a force. No. Cummings finally has it. Again, the Knicks can reclaim the lead. Johnson on the run. Swatted away. A foul. The Knicks think it should be goaltending on top of it. They don't get it, though.
See, Johnson catches McKee off balance, and he's able to wheel. And Davis, I think that's a good block. I think the official made the right call. He catches it right on the way up. It's right there. That's a good block. When you look at Davis, he has the ability to jump really high.
The foul is on McKee, his 4th. Sometimes when you're injured and maybe half a step slow, you tend to foul more. You get beaten, you reach in. And McKee goes out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bob, but Derek McKee has not been himself today. You saw it in the last possession offensively where he tried to make a play and was bumped off of it. He does not have his legs. And this is not the Derek McKee that we saw in the first 2 games.
In playoff time, when you're injured, if an injured player is out on the floor, you as an offensive player, in your mind, you're thinking, every time I get the basketball, I'm going to take him until the coach takes him out of the game.
Johnson gives New York the lead. Rose to the front court. Jackson back in along with Miller, and Rose with what could be called, if this were tennis, an unforced error at a bad time.
Jalen Rose has got to be careful now. 2 times in a row he's tried to do a little bit too much with the basketball. Isaiah, I think he needs to get foul line and under, come out, catch the ball, and then make his play rather than try to take it length of the floor.
Childs playing important minutes, really redeeming himself here in Game 3. Here is Starks, bumped by Miller.
You know, not to defend Charlie Ward in any way, but I think that the group that Charlie Ward played today was not a good group. It was not going to be a team that would bring out the best in each other. Chris Childs has been very fortunate. The team that he's played with today has played very well, and he's been the leader of that group, so you got to give him a lot of credit.
And Cummings with contact on Miller, a Knicks foul.
Reggie Miller, when he feels the contact, he throws his body in such a way that the official thinks that he just got murdered. Watch Terry Cummings. He'll chase him off.
But he puts up a neon sign. He throws his arm out there like that. When you do that, you're calling attention like, I just fouled.
Billy Crystal's at courtside. He's awarding Reggie Miller an Academy Award. Here's Rose, knocked away.
When will Patrick Ewing be back, and how long will it take for him to get warmed back up again?
See, I thought when they had Derek McKee in the game, Patrick Ewing should have been in, and they could have kept going to him. Now when he comes back, he's going to be guarded by a Smith or a Davis.
Rose, in and out. And a rebounding foul. It's on Smith, I think. And that is his 5th. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Man for the Knicks in the 4th quarter has 12 points and is shooting 5 for 12. And when he gets rolling, he gets into his zone. You see him square up right here for the nice 3-point shot. Notice the rotation in the step back on the basketball. Starks is really playing well, and New York has to ride him throughout these last 6 minutes.
Crowd really into it as Childs brings it across. It's in Stark's hands. Childs spinning. And then his pass is knocked out.
So you got to put Starks on the baseline and let him come off some screens. You can't put him in screen and roll because they're trapping him on the screen and roll.
Larry Johnson trying to muscle up in a crowd and loses it. Mullen back to Jackson.
Now with Jalen Rose making about 2 bad plays and having a couple turnovers, Chris Mullen into the game.
Here's Ewing off the bench and ready to check in. Mullen, Reggie, hold on. Tommy Nunez whistles a foul. And it's on Starks. His 2nd. Patrick comes back.
Now with Patrick coming back, the question, with he and Allen Houston coming back into the game, the question that you have to ask yourself, do they have enough offensive rhythm? With 6 minutes to go in the game, how long is it going to take Patrick to get back to where he was in the 3rd quarter?
Well, 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go for the Knicks to either have hope for tomorrow or be buried for the season. This 6-11 will dictate if they have any chance of winning this series.
Antonio Davis from Mullen. Now he finds Smith. Mullen wide open. Misses the 3. Patrick against Smith on the run. And a foul. And if it's on Smith, he's finished. Goodbye. With 5:44 left. Smith is gone. Antonio Davis played very well at center when Smith missed about a dozen games with sore feet late in the season. So Davis is going to get a lot of time in the pivot down the stretch here.
That play was made simply by the aggression of Patrick Ewing and the intelligence of him understanding that Rick Smith had 5 fouls, consequently put it on the floor, take it at him, and put him in a position where you're either going to let me score or you're going to foul me.
I think also really critical, New York has only committed 2 fouls. The little runner by Ewing, the 15th foul by the Pacers. Now New York shoots free throws the rest of the game. With the Davis boys, you get better defense, but when you lose Smith, you allow Patrick Ewing to roam because you missed that little medium-range jump shot that he brings.
And what's even more important with Smith fouling out is now Patrick Ewing has size over Davis and Davis, so defensively he should be able to clean up on the board.
Reggie Miller had it halfway down, and it spun out on him. That could have tied it. Childs. New York by 5.
With critical turnovers in game 2. Look what he is today, plus 27. He's been the difference. A little secondary break, Ewing with the screen. Childs pulls up, buries the open jump shot, and when he goes to the bench, he gets a welcome return from his teammates.
Doug, I think Childs has been so concerned about his defense that his offense has lacked. But today he's been able to put together both sides of the equation with his offense and his defense.
He's 4 of 5 from the floor, 8 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, only 2 turnovers. Finally, after a long stint on the bench, Houston is back in. Jackson trying to bounce it through a crowd, but a 3-second violation. That's one of the risks. When you pound it into the floor that long, one of the risks that somebody will linger too long in the paint.
Well, Bob, what you also have, too, is as Mark Jackson is backing down, instead of having Rick Smith for the 15-footer, they have one of the Davis boys. So the big guys can go back and help, and Ewing is back there to block a shot. I think that Indiana has to be very careful about going to that too much.
Still got the corner of Mark Jackson's eye. He looked and he saw Patrick Ewing standing there, and that made him hesitate.
Ewing high post. Looking to work.
Now, see, when you see Ewing dribbling the basketball, that's where he'll have trouble with his wrist. Lost control of the basketball. His guards right now have to get him underneath the basket and punch it into him right away.
Jackson with 8 on the 24. Mark Jackson on the run. Into the lane for Davis, who tries to muscle it up. They let the contact go, and New York comes away with the ball, and now Antonio Davis with a foul.
Again, Patrick Ewing's presence in the middle.
The importance in the 4th quarter of staying away from that free throw line, being in the penalty situation, the 4th shot by Antonio Davis. Chris Mills digs it out. He knows what's at stake here. Antonio Davis with a hustle foul, but now Indiana in the penalty, so New York will shoot 2 free throws. New York only 2 fouls. They can still be very aggressive. They have 2 fouls to give before you get into the last 2 minutes. They can be very aggressive around the basket now.
Knicks by 6. NBC tonight begins with an all-new episode of The Pretender, followed by the explosive 2-hour season finale of Profiler. An all-new night of thrills beginning at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on NBC tonight. Knicks 77, Pacers 70. Indiana has missed its last 7 shots. Miller can't put an end to that. New York ball. They have outscored the Pacers in this 4th quarter, 15-4.
Well, Isaiah, you talked about it earlier in the telecast. You said Chris Mills could be a guy that could really help them today. He has. It doesn't show up in the box score. That time a big hustle play to knock the ball off Davis and give his team another possession.
And Reggie Miller Bumps Houston.
See, they caught Reggie Miller pushing Houston in the back that time. Those two are guarding each other so close. Reggie is trying to avoid the screen, and his little nudge right there pushes Houston in the back. Houston does what Reggie Miller does. He goes with the contact, and he gets the flop this time.
It's an 8-point game.
See, when you look out on the floor at Indiana, they have no inside scoring ability. And the only two scorers out on the floor from the perimeter is Miller and Mullins. And it's going to be very difficult for them to come back from a 9-point lead shooting jump shots.
Houston, all but invisible in the second half, hits 2 free throws. New York by 9. Reggie trying to draw the foul and make sure it's an active shooting foul, and it's on Patrick. That's his third.
See, I thought Patrick played really good defense that time. Reggie Miller came off the screen. Allen Houston got caught up on the screen, and Patrick jumped out, and I thought Reggie Miller jumped into him. I thought he established his position.
Yeah, but if you look at the right arm, Isaiah, he broke the plane with his right arm. Patrick did everything right except that right arm reached in on top of him. And you know when that right arm comes down, they're normally going to call a foul.
Oh, man, Reggie Miller, nearly a 90% free throw shooter, hearing it from Spike Lee and the rest of the crowd as he misses the first. One of 2.
Now, New York has done everything going to the basket. Little trap here. They make sure they handle it and continue to go to the basket and try to shoot layups, not jump shots.
So you had a 3-on-1 underneath. Patrick Ewing lost control of the ball because he's not able to catch it as well.
Here is Patrick. Not this time. Davis loses it, though. Johnson to the floor. And it looks like the Pacers touched it last.
That's when you want to use a timeout right there. It's vital. You're up 8, 3 minutes to go. You get the possession. They take a timeout. It'll be Knicks possession.
So Johnson called timeout before the ball went out of bounds. The Knicks will have it. Antonio doesn't prevail against Utah. They have really served notice in this postseason. You know, they're a force to be dealt with next year.
I said I thought in 2 years Tim Duncan would probably be the MVP of this league. And when he was coming out of college, people questioned his heart, but yet he steps up and he's playing on a sprained ankle. So I don't think that question is there anymore.
Knicks lead it 79-71. The Pacers have scored just 5 points in this quarter. 5 points in 9 minutes. And a blocking foul as Childs works with the dribble. Antonio Davis, his second.
A couple areas that we talked about today, key. New York, 11 offensive rebounds, only 4 in Game 2. Critical that they've been much more aggressive on the boards. New York has won the battle of the boards 37-26. Larry Bird says the team that wins the rebounding will win the series. Indiana won the first 2 games. And now the fourth quarter, the free throw shooting. New York getting there. Indiana still, New York only 3 team fouls. They still have 1 to give.
Also, Doug, we talked about Indiana's bench and how important they've been in this series. Today, they've been outscored 33-12.
And how important is the free throw shooting? The Knicks have been like a team of Chris Mullins at the line. 22 of 23 now. And up by 10. Antonio Davis muscles it home. But time running short here on the Pacers. Allen Houston between 2 defenders to Johnson, and his pass knocked out. Nick Ball.
Now, New York on this out-of-bounds play loves to run a little double stack with Allen Houston coming off a double screen by Larry Johnson and Ewing. Let's see if they can get him a shot.
In 5 seconds. Mills. Missed it. Childs. Another big play. And he circles back out with it. Offensive foul as Ewing worked for his shot. Chris Childs, in less than 48 hours, has gone from nearly being run out of town, I mean, the talk shows were all over him, to the darling of the Garden crowd here in Game 3.
But I think if they took a look at the things that he's done in this series to Mark Jackson defensively, they would love him.
And a Knicks foul that stops the clock with 1:55 remaining. And New York up by 8. Remember, right behind us, they'll be set to go from the Alamo Dome. The Spurs and the Jazz in Game 3 of that series. First game, a 1-point affair. Second game, a 3-point Jazz win in overtime. San Antonio hopeful of doing what the Knicks may be on their way to doing here. Come back home, win Game 3, get back in the series. Unfortunately for the Pacers, the man at the line is Dale Davis, and he clanks 2 of them up there. So they come away with nothing. Childs double-teamed in the corner. Throws it off Davis's leg and out of bounds. The Knicks as a team, as we mentioned a moment ago, 22 of 23 at the line. Dale Davis alone, 2 of 10. Leave everything else aside. There's the game. There's the difference right there. On the inbound, it's Mills. And that may seal it. They're up 10. Jackson, they've got to hurry. It's Mark Jackson missing on the bank. Childs comes away with it. Looks like the Knicks will have a chance to even the series 24 hours from now when they come back to the Garden for Game 4. Larry Johnson, as the shot clock is about to expire, and Johnson is fouled. Now that's about the worst thing that can happen if you're trailing, if you're going to let them run the whole 24-second clock down to just about 0 and then commit a foul.
Doug, I think one of the keys to this game has been today is Jeff Van Gundy making the decision. To sit Charles Oakley on the bench and bring in Chris Mills, a more athletic player who can score. And I love Oakley's attitude because he didn't moan, he didn't pout. He sat on the bench, and he took it, and he's cheering, and he's just as happy. And how about the business-like attitude of the New York Knicks? Down 2-0 in the series, no pressure, no sweat. We know what we have to do. Let's come home and win 2.
Well, it's your job as a coach to get the right ingredients on the floor. And the starting team today for New York was not a mix that fit well. Charlie Well did not fit with that group. Neither did Oakley, Johnson, and Ewing together. So Jeff Van Gundy now will have to make a decision tomorrow. How am I going to start the game? I cannot dig myself the kind of hole that I did today in both the first and third quarters.
I think one of the huge advantages the Knicks have is playing tomorrow because Indiana won't have a chance to make adjustments. So the game that you see today very well likely may see the game that you see tomorrow because there's no time to make adjustments.
That was a foul committed by Allen Houston before the ball was thrown in, so Reggie Miller will shoot 2 free throws.
There's a gift for Indiana without any more time ticking off the clock. Reggie Miller goes to the line to shoot 2. It's 1 shot here. A dead ball foul, 1 shot, which he hits. And Indiana gets the ball from the side, which they would actually prefer. A chance, if they can hit a 3, to make it a 4-point trip down the floor.
Now, a lot of things can happen here in 52 seconds. You got to sustain your concentration, stay in the game, and don't break down defensively if you're New York right now.
Remember, Reggie Miller in here a few years ago scored 8 points in 8.5 seconds, so they've seen it before. You cannot lose your concentration, turn the ball over. Good, solid defense and rebound.
Mullen bounces it into the lane, and Johnson comes away with it for New York. That was likely Indiana's last chance. They all come to their feet at the Garden. Houston misses the three, but it scarcely matters now, and Mills grabs the rebound.
Well, Bob, remember the old TV show, In My Day, King for a Day. That's what Chris Childs is today, but you know what, New York, you got to prove it again in 24 hours.
Gee, I remember it as Queen for a Day, but why quibble? Wasn't Jack Bailey the host from the Moulin Rouge in Beverly Hills? Here's Childs. Nothing much matters, including those two misses. 3.8 on the clock. Here's what Chris Mills did to back up your point, Zeke. 11 with 7 boards.
And also the fact that Patrick Ewing's presence out on the court energized the Garden and gave his players enough confidence to hang in there when they were being pummeled by Indiana.
Dale Davis will slam one home. All that does is change the final arithmetic. 83-76 New York. Patrick Ewing. First game on this floor since before Christmas. 19 points, 7 rebounds. Chris Childs with a great all-round game. 10 points, 4 boards, 5 assists. Ahmad Rashad with an exceptional game as always.
I have fast one back. Patrick, I know before the game you said that you were going to try to take a lesser role and try to do the things that you had to do, try to stay in the background, but it worked out another way. You were so huge today.
Well, you know, I thought the first game I was very rusty, and tonight I wanted to come out and just do whatever I had to do to help the team to win. The other guys were, you know, shots weren't falling, so I tried to step it up a little bit and they would get me the ball.
Tremendous emotional lift. I think just by having you here, it enabled your team to say, Patrick, here we can go out and give it a bigger effort.
Well, it feels good to be back at home in the Garden. I haven't played it here in so long, and it just feels good to come out here and give such a good effort for the fans.
What about Chris Childs? Now, here's a guy that everybody was pointing their fingers at, didn't have a good game in Game 2. I mean, people were talking about just getting him out of here. He comes back and has a strong game today.
Well, Chris played big for us today. He controlled the ball. He did a very good job on the defensive end against Mark Jackson, and he also kicked the ball to the old people.
All right, tomorrow, I guess it's a new day, and I guess you must feel a lot stronger.
Oh, yeah, I feel a lot stronger. I was able to, you know, as we go along, my game gets more and more refined, and my win gets better.
All right, great game, Patrick. We'll see you tomorrow. I've got Chris Childs alongside me now. And Chris, you are the guy that took so much heat in Game 2. Everybody's saying the turnovers, you didn't play very well. How did you get it together and come in and play so strong today?
Well, it's true. You know, I put extra pressure on myself. I don't worry about what other people say. I know what I have to do to help this team win. I haven't been doing it. I'm not looking for any excuses. I just put extra pressure on myself to come out here and play the type of basketball that I can.
Big play over and over, and tremendous job on Reggie Miller.
Well, I enjoy that challenge. You have guys in this league who are great players, and Reggie's a great player. I just try to play as hard as I can, put pressure on him, don't give him any room, because any room that he gets, he has one of the quickest releases in the game, so I just try to stay up on him as much as possible.
All right, the great thing about this, you get to come out and do it again tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, good game, man. All right, back to you, Bob.
Ahmad, thanks. The Pacers were held at 10 points in the fourth quarter, and the last 2, just a concession dunk by Dale Davis. They were completely blanked in that fourth quarter, or virtually so. Once again, the final score from New York, the Knicks 83, the Pacers 76. Coming up next, Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals, the Jazz and the Spurs. For Isaiah Thomas, Doug Collins, and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Bob.